What up, Naughty Steppers? Connor Whitmore here again with another review for you on the Nawtystep channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the new EP from Panda Eyes, Society. Oskar Steinbeck, aka Panda Eyes, is back with his first EP since last November. A follow-up to his two collections for Disciple Records, firstly Isolation, then Let's Fly alongside Nasco. Both of which I actually found pretty decent, some memorable stuff in both, the former placing in my top 10 EPs of 2018. Those two being his only substantial releases for Disciple, however, in what was quite a short stint. Steinbeck preferring to do things on his own terms again, leading to him leaving Disciple at the end of last year. Add to that his struggles with autoimmune disease and drug use, and it's been very up and down for him in the recent past, which led to those around him and fans alike worrying about his health and sanity more than anything else. But following that, he seems back on his feet again, this new project being by no means his first work of 2019, with 5 originals and a couple of remixes to his name in what had already been a very productive year for him so far. Not that I've enjoyed any of them that much though, aside from Back Again, leaving me a little unsure once more going into a Panda Eyes EP. Though the last time this happened was with Isolation, and I ended up really quite impressed by that. But is that the case for Society as well? Yes, but only to an extent. In a number of important ways, the Society EP showcases what Steinbeck's music is best for. However, 4 or 5 listens in, I'm not sure there's that much material here that's truly blowing me away. What I would say is that generally speaking, I prefer the first half of this collection to the second. On the opener and title track, we're introduced to the EP with what seems like a 2019 Must Die tribute. A nice section to open the project up with that flute and punchy trap beat, but the likeness is impossible to ignore. Following that though, we're treated to some of the most emphatic dubstep I've heard from Steinbeck yet. This pounding, mechanical, industrial sound, the screeches in the progression are a really considered development as well. I'm not sure it's 100% fully getting me yet, I think it needs more of what it has, but it really lets the listener know what they're in for early doors. Leveling up for the second drop with that thick, drilling dubstep, which interestingly almost has a death step sort of gleam to it. The rapid, electric, zip-zap laser stuff going on in this sequence is also really well done, providing a nice contrast to everything else. It does end slightly weirdly, this moody piano, phone line drum combination seemingly coming out of nowhere. But all in all, it's a striking way to kick things off, setting the tone effectively for what follows. The dubstep in track 2, Exodus, is again big and insistent, full of good touches and paced really well. I love the scattergun delivery in parts of that first drop, another example of force and timing functioning in unison. At its core, the second drop I find quite ordinary, but those dragging sounds in their different forms are so good. Brief little sections, but they do a great job of giving the track more presence and a more enduring feel before the track finishes. After that though, as I mentioned, we do get 2 considerably less on point tracks in Null and Wake Up, which is mostly on a dubstep level, the former alongside Cosmos exhibiting some very hollow sound usage. There's energy there, but it still feels lifeless, dragging a bit, jarring, the progression being a larger version that's just even messier. The only double drop we get on the EP is here, and it's an interesting glitchy development, effortlessly switching the style up. But the snare makes it a difficult listen, not to mention the section going on for too long, very much overstaying its welcome. The best dubstep moment here for me would have to be probably them cutting the final drop short. Some flickers in there, but it's mostly more of the same. The soul drop section we get in Wake Up is another delve into the less enthralling realm of Steinbeck's creation. That big bellow to begin with is great, but the low-end fuzzy screeches that follow that aren't much to grab the attention. I enjoy the progression being a little more musically aware, but it's very similar, not quite the grand finish one would have hoped for. However, I do have to stop myself in my tracks right there, because the ending to the EP is actually my favourite part of the whole thing. In this extremely meta final minute, a robotic female voice lays out the reality of our current world situation. The time is near, the time is now, the world is ending, you cannot look away any longer, nature is calling, we were all once one, but we all got divided, greed took over, power is poison, we are destroying this planet, we are destroying our very self. Question authority or humanity will be lost. Question yourself. Which side will you choose? It's extremely powerful and not delivered in a kind of we're all doomed manner either. The piano underneath is warm, kind and inviting. The first time in a long time where music has really broken that fourth wall and made me consider the reality that we're in right now. Transcending any feelings that I might have about the music to really ask whether we're doing enough to keep this planet that we live on alive. Very important and also unique, but also beyond that, empowering, and I think great for someone of his stature within this scene to have done. But really think about it. Are you doing enough to save the planet that we're on? Do you want to be someone reinforcing the problem or be part of the change? Not that I want to make this a kind of existential debate of any sort, but it is important and done very well, so props to Panda Eyes for it, and I think for me, if you're going to take anything away from this EP, then let it be that. But this is a music review, of course, and I'm going to briefly do a 180 from that outro and give some more love to the introductions here. And this is where I actually prefer the second half of the EP to the first. Sticking with Wake Up, I love that deep underwater opening with the aforementioned female vocal. It gets quite tense and frantic, scary, something looming, running away from something, tying into that whole world-ending theme. And the beginning of Null I enjoy for its church-like, holy appeal, also how it gets eerier and more uncertain over time. On the flip side of that, I've got to say the introduction to Exodus is so short that it feels almost non-existent and resultantly pointless. It feels like a mistake, but the fact that it's repeated before the second drop quells that thought. It's something that Marauder would do, except well. There are a couple of extras here as well that I'd like to touch on before wrapping this review up. The second build in the title track, as a change from the first one, a jumpier layout of those rave festival synths, is so good. That's the first one. And that's the second one. And the biting effects in the drops of Exodus, they're quite hard to spot, but they add a lovely gnarliness to them. They're brilliant! Overall though, I return to my original point, which is that for me the first half of Society has more to offer than the second. Which again is mostly down to the dubstep, so much more to this project of course, but the drops will always be the focal point of this music. Having said that, the best part for me does arrive at the end, a moment that transcends any kind of musical enjoyment of the EP. Something that I really hope isn't ignored by listeners of it, and which inspires those people to act in the aftermath. We really do need to wake up. Musically though, I love that Steinbeck has maintained the massiveness of his sound, albeit with a slight RIDDIM tinge this time. No songs here that I adore yet, although that was the same with Isolation, which grew on me a lot over time. The same could happen here. However, Isolation was an EP stacked with variety, flavour and colour, things I'm not sure I could align with this EP, for me its main problem. Now in terms of my favourite on the EP, then I think I would have to go with the opener and title track. It has some bad moments, but for me also has the most better moments and feels the most rounded and complete. And in terms of recommendations, if you enjoyed the EP, then I would look at other Panda Eyes and 2019 Must Die, as I mentioned earlier. They're the big ones, but maybe someone like Katori at a push. And so there we have it, my thoughts on the new EP from Panda Eyes Society. I hope you enjoyed it, thank you very much for watching. But what did you guys make of Society? Do you have a favourite track from the four? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, then be sure to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell along the way so you can be notified whenever I upload a new video to the channel, and my social media accounts are linked in the description box down below. For some other EP reviews on the channel, check out the link next to my head somewhere. And lastly, if it's naughty, then you know guys, so be sure, as always, to keep it naughty and stay safe. And I shall see all of you legends in the next one. Peace out.